questions, please?
What can we do to have that knowledge?
Okay. Any other questions? Now, to answer your question, what can you do to get that kind of knowledge or information about it? So, first of all, the best, easiest, and cheapest way is to get the books. There is a lot in different books by different writers. And then you can seek help from people who know palmistry, like myself. I do readings. So that could help. And you can figure out you want to know about your health, wealth, happiness, and when you consult, you ask the palmist, you ask the astropalmist that this is what we want to know, and you will come to know that. Any other questions?
Every day. Your palms every day, right? Every morning.
Yes.
Has anything changed from one day to the next?
Okay. That's a very good question. Okay. And I will share a story about a palmist, and then I'll tell you whether it changes something or not. So, about approximately 150 to 100 years ago, like everybody wants to know what they want to be. Somebody wants to be an engineer, somebody wants to be a doctor, somebody wants to be a rock star. So, this guy decided he wanted to be the best palmist. So, for that, he went to India from UK, England, studied palmistry from gurus, and then he returned to United Kingdom and he started practicing. So one day in England there's a lot of rain, most of the time it rains. So one day suddenly it was raining and he wasn't prepared. So he took shelter under some kind of shade, and it was a little dark, and suddenly the headlights of a car flashed. The car was going through there, and he looked at the wall and he saw that there was a palm print on the wall. Now, this palm print was blood-stained. So, he, being curious, being a palmist, he had a lighter or match with him, so he looked on the palm and he decided to go to the Scotland detective yard and give the information to the police station that there is a murder, and the person who died, his height is this much, his weight is this much, and he started giving all the details to the police. And he was expecting a big reward and everything, but suddenly the officer in charge, he asked his constables that, okay, put him in the jail. And he says, what? I'm giving you so much information and you're putting me in jail? He says, yeah, because the information you're giving is only a murderer or an eyewitness can give that information. So maybe you murdered. So eventually he was in lockup, and then he was produced in front of court, in front of the judge. And the judge asked him what happened. And he said, sir, I'm just a palmist. And Your Honor, I gave my information from my knowledge and experience and they put me in jail. And the judge looks at him and he says, if you're a palmist, didn't you see this thing coming up for you? So you should know that you will be in jail or you will be rewarded. And he said, well, I was so busy looking at other people's palm, I didn't have time to look at my own palm. And when I was in lockup, at that time I was looking at my palm. I wish I would have looked that before, so I would have been careful. So that's what happens when you look at your palm. You can figure out what is going to happen. Some changes have happened overnight or not. For example, any small line could form, any small dot could form like a mole or some kind of spot. It could be white, brown, black, depends. And any kind of sign might form like a cross, a square, star. There are so many possibilities. So yes, it does change. Hello everybody.
Hello.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Where are we today? In San Diego, one of the best part of California. So I'm going to share some experience about palmistry. So we are at Henderley Hotel in San Diego, California today, and it's my pleasure to share some of my experiences with you about Vedic palmistry. So as the name indicates, palmistry, it is the mystery of the palm. And what I believe from my knowledge, from my studies, from my experience is God has etched a divine plan for human beings, and that is what I call palmistry. So in our palm we have everything: our past, our present, our future, people we associate with, the talents we have, how we make money, how we live on this earth. So everything is on the palm. Now, if we go back about, say, 20 years, if we had to come to San Diego Henderley Hotel from Los Angeles, what would we do? Drive. And but how would we know where the hotel is located, where the venue is?
We use a map, paper map.
Map. Thomas Guide, right? So, how do we come to the venue now?
Siri.
Okay. See? And Siri takes you to
GPS.
via GPS. Okay. So, and before this, we had Palm Pilot,
Oh my gosh, yeah.
right? So, the guidance we seek through palmistry is already in our palms,
Oh my.
and the divine knowledge God has given is already there. So, again, coming to my conclusion, if we follow that divine plan, the divine path, the divine map which we all have, then life would be much easier. So instead of going left, right, going around 30 miles, 50 miles, going and landing in New York instead of Los Angeles, we can go on the straight path if we follow the palm. So I will be very concise, and I would like to share some of the experiences with you in general. Okay? Now, every palm is different. Even the fingerprints expert, they say even the twins, they don't have similar fingerprints. So that means everybody's destiny is different. So when I do the palm reading, I look at the shape of the palm, how the fingers are, how the fingerprints are, how the lines are, how the planets are. There's so much going on. And while reading, the mind goes faster than the computer to figure out what to say and what not to say, how to guide a client so they get the best of the best. Now, I would love to share something from the audience today. If you want to ask me something connected with your palm in general, not specific, then you're welcome to ask me. So the question you asked is, what is the difference between right and left palm? So the answer is, if you look at your palms, you will see that both palms are not identical. they are different. And for gentlemen, if they are right-handed, we first look at the right hand also. And for the ladies, now before I go into that, I have a question. How come men are addressed formally like gentlemen? And why ladies are just addressed as ladies? Can anybody give me a better word? Because I'm asking gentlemen and ladies. So any better word I can use? Why don't they say gentle ladies?
They do in Congress.
Oh, they do?
In Congress.
Oh,
right?
okay. I didn't hear
Refer to
that.
someone as the gentlewoman from South Carolina or wherever. You know,
Oh, okay.
I think they do that.
But why don't they do in day-to-day?
I don't know.
You know why? I might have the answer. Because the ladies are always gentle.
Oh.
So that might be the right answer. So again, for gentlewomen, mostly left hand, left palm. So men, and even the difference in the left and right is one is karmic, what we have accumulated since previous lives, that is reflected on the palm, and the other palm is what we do at present in this birth, that is reflected on another palm. So again, for gentlemen, it is left palm, they are born with the destiny, and the right palm is the guidance, which what they are doing today or they have done in this lifetime. And with gentlewoman, it's opposite.
Really?
Yes. Any other question?
I have a question. So there's like a theory that like during our lifetimes there are certain things that may happen where like we could have had an exit point and passed on, but we didn't. They're like a car accident or an illness or something. And are those shown in your palm too, like the points in your life that are like you can tell like major events and things like that?
Yes. It is indicated about your present life most of the time if some events are going to take place. I will try to be more subtle because the terminology you used is not that subtle, so I will make it little subtle. So if there is a movement, suppose you want to move to a different state, different country, different house, it is indicated. And similarly, if some upheaval is going to happen, it is indicated. Any other question? Yes, please.
Is your palmistry, is there a like healer mark on the hand?
Of course.
And is it a line? Is it lines?
Okay, I'll come to your question in a moment. So your question is, if on the palms there are signs reflected if somebody could be a healer or somebody is a healer, right? So you have to look at the entire palm because intuitive people will have different kind of fingers. And for doing the healing, you have to be intuitive. And also, you have to look at the planets, specifically Jupiter. Yeah, specifically. But other planets play a role also. And then you can figure out the person really has those qualities of a healer or not. Any more questions? Please.
So if it's a map for your current life, what is the benefit of knowing it if it cannot be changed?
Okay, I'll come to that. Any other question?
Or I guess, can it be changed, is my first question, of course. Okay.
I'll come to that.
Okay.
Any other question? Okay. So the question asked was, if there is an indication on the palm, can it be changed? Right? So again, from my experience, my knowledge, what I see is there is a predestined, and that is already etched on one of the palms. But through our spiritual practices, through our day-to-day life's activities, if we are righteous, and then there's a knowledge about using proper colors, for which it doesn't cost much. Okay, you have in your wardrobe, in your closet, you can use specific colors to enhance. You can change a lot depending on what your input is. It could be rituals, it could be prayers, it could be using gems, it could be bright colors, it could be not hurting anybody. So there are so many things, and once you change it, it will be reflected on your palm. The lines change, the signs on the palm, they change, and sometimes indication comes like on the palm there might be a mole, there might be a white spot, there might be a red spot. There's so many things because there are thousands and thousands of permutations and combinations to figure out. And in my reading, I try to do, like I said, in nanosecond what to do and just pass it on to the clients. Yes, your question.
Do you feel like palmistry is an intuitive gift you have, or have you studied to be able to share this with others?
Excellent question. It is a science, and you have to study it. How you apply it is an art. So for that you have to have experience. So it's a combination of science, art, and being intuitive. Now, as far as the science of palmistry goes, even in modern medicine, in the medical school, they have taken lots of information from traditional palmistry, and they are using it to diagnose their patients. Any other questions? Please.
Are the planets considered when you're doing palmistry?
That's a good question. If I go into the scriptures, in my belief system and in my research, I figure out that the most ancient religion, which I believe is Hinduism, and in that, the first scripture which started, and this is very controversial subject though, but again, in my experience, my knowledge, the first scripture which came onto earth was about planets. So that's where Vedic astrology started. And that's what we have in our palms. Planets do play all the role. There's nothing else in Vedic astrology, in palmistry. Everything is planets, planets, planets. And if the planets are beneficial, we try to enhance them so we get more benefits. If the planets are inauspicious, then we try to please them to negate the obstacles and negativity. Any other questions? So I'll try to conclude here, and I'll try to thank everybody for being here, and I appreciate your presence.